Okay, I think we're just about on time to get started. So welcome to everyone who is joining us for today's session in the natural language processing series. So welcome back if you've already joined some of these sessions, and if today's your first one, you're very welcome, and we're happy to have you here. Today's session is on converting audio files into text with Azure AI. And today's session will run over the next 60 minutes. That's inclusive of Q&A. So any questions you have during the session, please do feel free to drop them into that Q&A window. It is being moderated, so we'll make an effort to answer them throughout and hopefully read some of those questions out loud towards the end as well. Just a reminder to everyone too that this session is being recorded and it will be made available to watch on demand within the next few days. I'll post a link into the Q&A of where you can access the on-demand video too. So before we get started, just a reminder to everyone of our code of conduct. Our code of conduct is the same for all sessions that run out of the reactor, and it's just a reminder to everyone to be aware of others, be friendly and patient throughout, and just understanding of any differences of opinions that we might see throughout the Q&A today. Today's speaker is Caio Moreno. Caio is a senior cloud solution architect at Microsoft, and really delighted to have him with us today. We'll hear from Caio just shortly. He can introduce himself a little bit more to everyone. So just want to quickly highlight where we are in this series. As you can see on the screen, these are the 4 episodes that have already run out of this series. So Rom-Com or Not Level 2, week 2 was Slaying Machine Learning with Buffy. Then we had overview of Azure NLP solutions, and last week was on topic modeling with Azure Machine Learning. These sessions are all available to watch on demand, and as I mentioned, I'll post a link to that into the chat soon. So this week, as I mentioned, is on converting audio files into text with Azure AI, and you can see there what's coming up in the rest of the series. So without further ado, Caio, I will hand over to you to get us started. So I'll just stop sharing my screen.
So can you guys see my screen? Let me share 1 second. Okay, I'm starting to share. I hope you guys can see the screen.
Perfect.
Excellent. Yeah, so good morning, good afternoon, good night, everyone. So I'm very excited today to talk about speech recognition, and I'm going to be very pragmatic, and I'm going to show an example how we could convert audio files into text using Azure. And before we start, I just want to talk a little bit about myself. So I'm a cloud solution architect at Microsoft. I live here in London. I am married. I have 3 daughters, as you can see in the picture. You can see my Twitter if you want to reach out to me, and also my LinkedIn. I love language, so I'm Brazilian and Spanish. My mom's Spanish, my dad Brazilian. So I speak Portuguese, Spanish, and I'm really trying my best to speak English. Hope you guys can understand me. So a little bit about my background. I worked for America Online, and then I was a missionary at the Church of Jesus Christ, Latter-day Saints. Then I create my own company called IT for Biz, where I ran for 9 years. And while I had my company, I worked for the Health Minister of Brazil and also the health agents called ANS. And I was working with open source technology, very related to Pentaho. Then Pentaho was the product that I was using, and then I moved to Pentaho, worked there. Pentaho was acquired by Hitachi. I moved to Hitachi, and then I moved to Accenture and Avana, and finally I moved to Microsoft, where I'm here. Very happy to work for Microsoft and talk to you guys about the amazing products that we have in the AI space. From an academic background, as you can see, those are the places that I studied. It's interesting to say that I was a professor in the master about BI and big data and advanced analytics at UNOS, and then later at AOE in Spain. And currently I'm doing my PhD at Complutense University of Madrid, where I research about data science. So a little bit about the agenda. So we're going to talk about AI systems using speech recognition, and a little bit about Microsoft Vision, and also how can I use it. So some common scenarios, and a fake scenario, what is the Contoso Global Bank use case, but very related to the reality of most of the customers. And talk a little bit about the AI data product definition and the AI data product journey. Show some real customer stories and give a little bit of introduction about the Microsoft Cognitive Service, the ASR, the automatic speech recognition, and do a quick demo for those who are interested to, after this session, try it and explore this in your organization. I think this demo will be great for you as a starting point, and use the product and try it yourself. I'm also gonna give some next steps where I'm gonna say how you could expand this demo that I'm gonna show today, and then I'm gonna have space for Q&A. A little bit about the session. When we think about market-oriented organizations, most of them they are looking to find ways to automate solutions to improve customer satisfaction and experience. So this example that I'm going to show, where we're going to show how data science team could convert audio files that can come from call centers, for example, conversation with customers, and then convert this to text. So those texts could be used to generate insights. And there was a previous session about Fatos and also Alida and Robin. They show many ways we could also improve this use case. And so I really recommend you guys that you didn't have the chance to watch the previous sessions on this series to go back and watch as well. So in this session today, I'm going to demonstrate a practical example of how to convert. So before, I just want to talk about AI systems. So AI systems using speech recognitions. And in the left side, I mean, I'm a big fan of movies and all the artificial intelligence movies I really like. And there is one movie that is the Interstellar movie that was launched 2014. And there's two robots. One is TARS and the other one is Case. They help the humans to explore the space. If you didn't have the chance to watch, I really recommend you to go and watch. So basically, those robots, you can talk to them and they're gonna understand your voice and they're gonna interact with you. So when we think about those examples not in the real world, we get very excited about how the future could be. We could go to the galaxy and explore with the help of robots. And then we come for commercial products. We know we have commercial products like Microsoft Cortana, Apple Siri, Google Assistant, and Amazon Alexa, and they're very familiar and they're very present in our lives. I have a daughter who is 8, another one who's 5. They love to talk to Alexa and to a Google Assistant. With Cortana, with Siri, they really enjoy the experience of asking questions to those systems. A little bit about Microsoft Vision for the future of intelligent agents. I'm going to try to play this YouTube video. I promise it's very short, but it just gives us an example how could be the future of our work soon. So I'm just going to try to click here. I'm going to stop sharing here because I might have to share with audio. So let me click here. 1 second. So I'm just gonna show this here, and I'm gonna stop here, share again, share with audio, So I hope you guys can see it and hear it. So let me play. If you cannot hear, please let me know.
What do I have today?
Here's what your day looks like. Today you have take a walk outside at 8 a.m., your one-on-one with Anjali at 10 a.m., lunch with Tom at noon, and your app kickoff at 3 p.m.
Go ahead and reschedule my walk to tomorrow at the same time.
Sure. I can move take a walk outside to tomorrow at 8 a.m. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay, I've moved it to tomorrow.
And schedule a cram session with Nicholas and his manager from 9 to 1:30 today. And we're gonna need a room in Bellevue.
Oh, okay. I'll invite Nicholas Cohn and Michelle Estes to the cram session, and I'll put your meeting in City Center 2605. Does that look good to you?
Yeah. And push back my one-on-one with Anjali to tomorrow.
All right, I've booked your meeting. And here are a couple of options to meet with Anjali Bhatt tomorrow.
Is there anything later in the day?
Let's see. How about this one?
Yeah, that'll work. And is she invited to the app kickoff this afternoon?
No, she's not on the invite.
No, please send it to her.
Okay, I've forwarded the app kickoff to Anjali Bhatt.
Great. Oh, right. After my last meeting today, schedule 30 minutes to pick up the birthday cake.
Sure. Pick up the birthday cake at 4 p.m. Is that right?
Yep. And remind me, where is my lunch meeting today?
Lunch with Tom is at Liberty Cafe.
What's the weather going to be like?
It'll be mostly sunny and 71 degrees at Liberty Cafe at noon today.
Can we eat outside there?
Yes. Liberty Cafe has outdoor seating.
And can you send directions to my car?
Connecting to car skill. Sure, directions to Liberty Cafe have been sent to your car.
When's our next review with Cyrus?
Your next quarterly review with Cyrus Nafani is Tuesday, June 11th at 10 a.m.
Schedule a 2-hour dry run with Benjamin McIntosh the Friday before that.
All right. Does this work for you?
Yep, that looks great.
I've scheduled your dry run with Benjamin.
Thank you.
Happy to help.
Great. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me share my slides again now. Okay, go back to the slides. Great. So I really like this vision and how our life will be much easier when we have those things as part of our life. So to continue on the presentation, Microsoft has the desires to have AI in every application, every business process, and every employee using AI. And then when we think how can we use it? So you coming to this session today, and you probably are thinking, where can I use speech recognition in my organization? So there are some common scenarios where we call center automation, for example, compliance, product insights. And we're going to talk today about a use case where we have a bank that has a lot of audio calls, and then they want to transcribe those calls and use this to get insights. So think about improved customer experience. So as a CEO of Contoso Global Bank, I want to convert audio files that I have in the bank from my calls and from my call center, and I want to use those calls to better understand my customers and improve customer experience. So this is coming from the CEO, and he wants to have a technology that is able to do. How would you do that? How we would approach this problem? And it's definitely not a simple thing. It's, as we understand, speech are sounds, so we need to be able to understand the sounds and be able to convert those on words. So there one way we can do that. We can hire professional transcriptionists. They could be one person or a team, and they can listen to the audios and they can transcribe the audio content. So I personally have done that myself, not as a professional transcript, but I've done audio conversion. So I would listen to the audio and then write it down, and I'll have to listen many times. And specifically for some specific accent, I really struggle. If someone is coming from a specific area, I will really struggle to try to understand and write it. So it takes me a lot of time to do that. And then if you want to summarize the content and maybe generate some insights about the conversation, that is just another step that it would take some time. So let's imagine that you have to do that, and maybe it would take you 30 minutes, 1 hour to each audio, or maybe if it's small audio, maybe 5-10 minutes. But what if I have thousands of audio files every day? So if you really have this situation where you have a call center with maybe 5,000 people, 10,000, or a huge number of calls every day, it's quite challenging to deal with that without thinking about an automatic process to do that. So how do I do that? How do I do it? So let's think about the problem. So let's think about this as an AI data product. So if we think about definition of what our AI data product will do, it needs to input audio files, and then needs to have some kind of intelligence that will convert audio to text. And the output will be an audio file transcript in a text file. If we think about success criteria, it will be accuracy. So the higher, the better. The speed, the higher, the better. The cost, the cheaper, the better. And time to market, the faster, the better. So if you have a solution that would take many months to develop, you might be 6 months, 1 year, 2 years behind your competitors. So you really need to think about time to market. How fast can you deploy your AI system? And less complexity as well. I mean, if you don't have a team of people that understand what is behind, you might want less complexity so you can deploy this quicker. So in terms of your AI data and product journey, I think we could think about 4 steps. One would be you first have your AI lab experimentation, where you're gonna try different solutions. You might even go to the route that you want to build your own solution from scratch, and don't maybe forget about the 20, 50 years of experience from the field, and so start from the beginning. Or you can just say, okay, let's try what is available. Let's see if we can speed up this process. So you make all those experimentations in your lab, and then you have your first MVP data product, and then you test it. And then if you think it's good, then you can move this to a production. And then you can think about making improvements in this data product that could take many years. You could have a whole team just improving your data product if it goes to production, and you see value. You see that you're making good impact in your organization because of this data product. So talking about Microsoft AI, the Ultimate Speech Recognition, ASR, we think about reusing what Microsoft has, right? So that's the idea. Microsoft invests a lot of money and resource in building Microsoft AI Factory, building those services that you can use it. So think about speech to text. You can use what we call Microsoft Cognitive Service. For those who are familiar with and who are already using, you will have experience with this product. But for those that are new, Microsoft Cognitive Service are what we call our pre-built AI. So you don't have to build from scratch. You can reuse what Microsoft created. So using Microsoft Cognitive Service, you can convert your speech to text. So, and people might think, okay, now it's the end. I just going to be replaced by a robot. The robot's going to get my place, and what can I do? But this is not really the idea. The idea is that AI and humans working together. So I think we need to think about AI as a partner, as someone machine that is going to help us. And we really need to think what AI is doing much better than us and use AI for that to make our life easier. So when you think about AI is not about replacing humans. It's something that many businesses are leveraging today. AI thrives on complexity. It works 24 hours by 7 days. It's faster than any human being is capable of. It can take vast data sets and process it at a rate that allows it to draw meaningful insights. AI will empower humans. And also, we do not expect humans to work 24 hours by 7 days a week. So we really need to think about AI as we really need to think about the potential of artificial intelligence. So humans and technology working together, they can work together faster and even far smarter. And we cannot really think that humans will work 24 hours by 7. And we need to think about AI empowering humans. And we need to architect the future. We need to be the architects of tomorrow. So if you're data science and you listen to this talk, you really are part of this group of people that are automating the process in most of the organizations. And we really need to architect the things for tomorrow and use AI to allow the business to improve. So quick summary about automatic speech recognition for those who are not familiar. I'm definitely not an expert on that. I've seen people that they are working in this field for 20, 30 years, and they have a deep experience. At Microsoft, we have people that they basically dedicate their whole life to this topic, and they're definitely the expert on this subject. But as a cloud solution architect at Microsoft, I work with customers where we explore the potential of AI, and using automatic speech recognition, we can use AI to make our lives easier. So when we think about automatic speech recognition, it's basically a technology that converts spoken words into text. So it's simple as that. But behind the scene, it's definitely not simple at all. So ASR, automatic speech recognition, is the first step in enabling voice technology to respond to comments. So when you say, okay, Google, or you say Alexa, or you call Cortana, or you say Siri, those are being enabled by this technology. So what makes automatic speech recognition very special is that enables us, humans, to communicate with computers using our most natural form of communication, that is speech. So we are very comfortable talking, and then if you can talk to the machine, it's a much better experience than probably typing or doing in a different way. So behind the scenes, this voice technology can detect the spoken sounds, recognize them as words, and then ASR is the cornerstone of the entire voice experience. So in the documentation of Microsoft, if you go to this link, you see that our API, our tools, our service, they enables you to do real-time transcriptions of audio streams into text, and your applications, they can consume and they can use those. And it's really interesting is that this service is powered by the same recognition technology that Microsoft uses for Cortana and for Office products. And it works seamlessly with translation and text to speech. So you can have a solution where you can say something and then you translate that and then you present this using maybe the text to speech and saying a different voice. In terms of the model, so in the speech recognition service, there is what we call the universal language model. So the speech to text service, by default, we will use this universal language model. And this model was trained using Microsoft own data, and it is deployed in the cloud. But it doesn't mean you cannot customize that. So for some specific industry-specific vocabulary, for example, I'll give you an example. At Microsoft, we will have some vocabularies like CSU, so Customer Success Unit. So someone that is not from Microsoft will not understand what is CSU. So if you have a conversation and someone is going to say, "Oh, I'm from CSU," your model might not understand. So those things you could add, and then you might have some problems like a noise in your ambient. Maybe someone is working in a factory, so you could add this to your model, to your custom model. So before we go more deep, I just wanted to explain a little bit how we get to this point, because definitely from the last years, we had a lot of milestones in the speech journey. So in 1971, DARPA started to work in the first speech project. So it's not something that started today. And then 1975, it was used hiding Markov models by IBM to do this speech work. And funny thing, my dad used to work for Texas Instrument when I was a baby. So not 1978, but around 1983, 84. I remember my dad gave me this specific product that we see in the slide, the Speak and Spell, and I still have it, and it is really good. Like so, they basically create this product and use some speech capability. So it's great product for kids. In 1983, then Gaussian mixture models started to be used for speech recognition. In 86, researchers, they began to experiment neural networks. And then you can see many advancements like 1994, Dragon Naturally Speaking, IBM via voice introduced. Then Microsoft introduced the first speech tools in Windows 95. And then 1996, as SRI International deployed interactive voice response software. Then 2001, Microsoft introduced Windows and Office XP speech using SAP I 5.0. And then 2007, Microsoft released voice search in live search that now is called Bing. 2007, 2010, Kinect for Xbox. Then 2011, most of you might be familiar when Siri was introduced for iPhones. And then 2012, Microsoft makes deep learning breakthroughs. And then 2014, Microsoft Cortana personal assistant is introduced. And then it goes on. So 2015, Microsoft makes Skype translator available in German, in Mandarin, other language. So it's not updated this slide, but if you want, you can click on the link below. You see more details, but you can see how things were progressing through time into what we are today. So there is one podcast in. So if you go to the link below, there's this podcast that talks about speech and language as the crown jewel of AI. So I like to quote Dr. Wang, where he says, "Only we humans have the language. We can organize better. We can describe in science fiction terms. We can really organize ourselves, create a constitution. So if you look at the humans, it is the speech and the language that set us apart from other animals. And then for artificial intelligence, speech and language would drive the evolution of AI, just like it did to humans. That's why it's the crown jewel of AI." So it's a pretty strong statement saying how important speech is for AI. If you want to listen, you can click on this link and listen the whole interview with Dr. Wang. If you wanted to go more deep in the academic side, the academic part of speech recognition, I really recommend this paper where it talks about how the machine is compared to humans and how good the machine is. So in this link, I put a paper where the Microsoft research team describe in a lot of details how the system is performing very well compared to human, and it's similar. So talking about customers, real customer experience, real customer stories where people actually are using, because I mean, one of the challenge with AI, there's so many potential, so many things we could do, but not all the time we actually see customers using things in production. People are doing a lot of experiments, but not all of them are really getting any benefit of that. They're just doing a lot of experimentation, but nothing goes to production. So I usually see a lot of customers doing a lot of very nice things, but not everything goes to production. So talking about some real customer stories, there's five stories here that they are available in the Microsoft website, and one is KPMG, where they use speech tests to transcribe and catalog thousands of hours of calls, reducing compliance costs for its clients, but as much as 80%. There's Universal Electronics that they use speech tests to do voice-enabled smart home experience. So they're helping brands to deliver voice-enabled navigation. And then NTT data that they're using for decision making. So if you want to get insights from real-time meeting transcriptions, they use our service to do that. And then Motorola, that they are helping the police officers and other emergency first responders to gain faster access to important information with a voice-powered virtual assistant. And then inside Powers, inside Enterprise, they're helping banks, bringing digital speed and convenience to their branch with conversational AI. So basically, they convert what customers say into data, and then they can process and analyze, so they can get more insights about the customers. So one use case that I really like the statement is the one from KPMG. There is the public case in our website. If you go to the link below, and then customers saying that when we first started in this space, it took us 12 to 14 weeks to get even limited results with our on-premise solution. And today we can often deliver useful, insightful results within 2 or 4 hours. So this is a big impact that I just wanted to show about what he was saying by Stephen Wells, Director for Forensic Data Analytics at KPMG. So I really like this use case. A little bit about introduction about Microsoft Cognitive Service. Today we're talking only about the speech part. So Microsoft Cognitive Service, you have vision, speech, language, knowledge, and search. But I'm just going to cover speech. And specifically, I'm just going to cover the speech transcription. So there are many other things you can do with the tool. So there are a lot of advantages of using Microsoft Speech Platform. One is it's a multilingual platform. So if you're working with multiple language and you are working in a global organization in different parts of the world, different office, you might need to use for multiple language. And you use Azure as a cloud platform, and it allows you to do voice customizations and many things. And all the research that Microsoft is putting on that, it goes to the product. So you're always going to get the state of art in the field from the Microsoft research team. From breakthroughs about how close we are to humans, that's very, very interesting, because in 2016, there was the switchboard conversation speech where we got 90.1%, and then 2017 a little bit higher, and then 2018 it was around machine translation, and then 2018 was speech synthesis. So this is how good it is compared to humans. So around the speech-to-text service, you can use the SDK that I'm gonna show, and you could also deploy in containers, and you could have this in your device, and there are multiple languages, and you can have your own custom voice models. So I'm not going to cover in much detail about the custom speech service, but I just want to explain that this exists. So if you want to create your own models with your own data, you can upload your specific speech and your text data using the custom speech service. We're not gonna see this in the demo, but this is very important if you want to have a custom model and work in conjunction with Microsoft state-of-art speech models. Just a little bit how speech recognition system works. You need an acoustical model and a language model. And the acoustic model is a classifier that labels short fragments of audio into a number of sounds units in a given language. And then the language model gives the probability distribution. So over a sequence of words, it decides among sequence of words that sound is similar based on the likelihood of the word sequence themselves. So it's really like a pretty complex process happening behind the scene, that if you choose to use the pre-built AI and choose to use the Microsoft service, you don't really need to deal with that complexity. You're happy to do, but it's not something you need to become a PhD on the subject or spend many years researching about this to have your first AI system using the speech recognition capabilities. So all those things are things you don't have to worry, but it's always good to know how it is. So now I prepared a quick demo where I'm gonna present a little bit how you could, after this session, do your own test. So it's very limited in terms of what you will see today, but I think it's very interesting to start. So we're gonna learn how to convert an audio file to text. This is the title of my talk, using Azure AI speech to text. So before we go to Azure machine learning, where I'm gonna show using the portal, using Microsoft Azure portal, I just wanted to walk you through the steps. So for this demo, we will use the Jupyter Notebook. For those who are familiar with Jupyter Notebooks, we're gonna run them on Azure ML compute instance, but you could run also in your own machine. You can also use Visual Studio if you want. You could use any Python editor that you prefer. But I'm going to use Azure ML just to showcase this running on the web. So for this project, you can see the link. So if you go to GitHub, so below you see GitHub, Caio M. Souza, and then Microsoft Cognitive Service. That's the notebooks that I'm going to show. They are all in this link. So you can try it by yourself later. And if you have any questions or any issues, you can reach out to me later. So in terms of how you get this to Azure ML, if you go to the terminal, I'm going to show you this. You can do a git clone, and you can clone my repo. So this is my personal repo that I built for this demo. This is not a Microsoft repo. This is only sample code for you to test the system. And then you will see there is some project files. So there is a config folder, and it's important that in this config folder, there's a file, there's a JSON file that you need to put your key there. So your speech key there, and then you also have to put your region. So I'm going to show that. And then you have the data, and you have the 3 notebooks. So the audio files, they are here. If you put more audio files, you're just going to read all the audio files and it's going to do for you. And then this is how the libraries you have to install. This is an example in Visual Studio. And this is a more advanced code, this one that I'm going to show. And let's go to the demo. I'm going to stop here and then put my pointer to the notebook. So just to confirm, can you guys see my Azure portal? I think so, right? Let me see if there's. Okay, so I hope you guys can see it. So, so for sake of time, I basically built a resource group here, what I call NLP demo. And then in the NLP demo, I put one service called Azure Machine Learning. And then inside the Azure Machine Learning, we're gonna run. And then I use the Cognite service here. So if you never use Azure, if you go to create resource, you can put cognitive service, and then you just hit create, and then you put your resource group. If you already have, if you know, you create one. I'm using the UK South region, but there are many regions you can use. And then you choose the tier, and then you put a name, and then basically you create. So I already created one, so I'm gonna use the one that I already have. So they're all here in this resource group. So for your Cognite service, there is one part here that says key and endpoint. So go to show key, and then you copy this key. Okay, this is very important. After this presentation, I'm gonna delete this resource group. So if you try with my key, it's not gonna work because I'm gonna delete it. So for my Azure Machine Learning, I click here on Launch Studio. And then in the studio, what I created already a compute instance that is already running here on my portal. And then I click on Jupyter. And when I click on Jupyter, I have some folders. So for you that you're doing for the first time, you have to click on Terminal. And then on Terminal is where you're gonna do the Git clone. So you're just gonna go here and do Git clone. And then you're gonna paste this GitHub that I put. So if you go here, you can click here. And then going here, you just paste it here. So, but make sure you clone in the folder that you want. So in my case, I create a folder called Microsoft Reactor London. So if I go here to my terminal, you see there is this Microsoft Reactor. And the way you create folder here, let's say if I want to create a folder here, just do mkdir. So it's a Unix, so it's Linux. So you can say like test. So you see now I have a folder called test, and so I pasted here all the Git repo. So you just clone, and there's a lot of other things here that you don't need for this demo. Just focus on this folder called NLP demo 21 April. And then there is a folder here called notebook. So these are the notebooks that we're gonna use. So when you go here and you click Jupyter, there is already a folder called users, and then there is my name, Microsoft Reactor, and you see the folder that we created there here. So there are other things you can do, like for example text analytics, but for this demo today, we're gonna focus on this folder here, and you just have to follow the instructions. So 0 is to install the libraries. So you're gonna first run this one. After you install, you can test the API with just one file, and this is what we're gonna do now. and you can later test this with multiple files. So this example here, you just have to paste your key right here. So the key that you get from the service. So if I go here, you just have to copy this key here, and then you paste this here, right? And then your region, you copy the location from here, and then you basically can execute that. So if you don't put the correct things, you will get this error here that says connection failed. And then there is this other example here that will read other files. So if you go to the folder called data, there is 3 audio files. There is this one, and this one. So this example will get the config file from this JSON that is in this file here, where you put your key and your region here, and the location for the data, where it is. And then when you run, it basically go and get all the data. So let's do this. So I have another folder, basically this one here. So if I close this, and then if I go here to this one, there is already the credential. So if I executed that, it's gonna get the data, the audio file. So it needs to be in this format. And then if you see, it's recognizing the audio. So you see here, this is the text. So it says, custom speech provide tools that allows you to visualize, inspect, and recognize quality of a model. So if you listen to the audio, you're gonna see that what is in the audio is this. But if we use this one that gets all the audio files, this one basically gets the information from the config file. And I'm just gonna uncomment this so you can see the speech key as well in the print. You see, this is the ends as 91. So if you see here, it's 91. Yeah, so now this code basically is gonna do a loop, get all the files, and it's gonna save into a CSV. But also, if you have very big files, this code is gonna process well. And then the way it's printing, it prints. You can change the code to meet your needs, but what I did here is I printed in a way that you can see that it's happening in real time. So you're getting the content as it gets bigger. And this is basically the whole task look, content like data models task. So there is one that is about Batman, and it's pretty cool. So basically, you can change the code not to show all these details, but this example it's giving you. So right now it's executing. If you see, it's basically having a peak human physical condition. He traveled the world, acquiring the skills needed to. So you see that it's basically doing the speech on real time and adding to the result. So you could see this this coming. So yeah, let's wait until it's finished. And it's basically processing the file. So there's one file that is quite big, so it takes time to process. So if you see this code, you could limit it the amount of text that you want to print. So here it basically started this Batman one, so it already converted, right? So now it's starting with another one. Oh, and now it's finished. So there's one audio file that's very, very small. Basically say what's the weather like. And then if we go to this data folder, you see that the output is here. So it converted, in my case, I had 5 audio files, but let's say if we go to the Batman one, so skills and ability, Batman has no inherent superpowers. He relies on his own scientific knowledge, detective skills, and so this is the text that came from the Batman audio. So if you listen to this, and then you can compare to see how good is the system performing. Before I finish my presentation and open for questions, I just wanted to show how you could expand on that. So 1 second, let me show from not from the beginning to this slide. So around next steps, it's this code that you're gonna try that is available on GitHub. It's gonna help you to start, and then when you start, you might need to do the next steps. So the product group team, they created an accelerator. So it's a batch ingestion client that it's available on the Microsoft Azure samples. So in the Cognitive Service Speech SDK, if you click on this link and you follow the step-by-step, you can try this in your own subscription. So the solution will be, you have audio files, your audio files, they will go to Azure storage, and then it's gonna notify, and then it's gonna process the notification, use Cognitive Service, fetch the transcriptions, and then store the transcriptions. And it's even gonna apply some analytics as well that you can visualize in Power BI. So in terms of more details about this accelerator, this solution accelerator, this is the audio file that goes to storage, and then it's gonna use Azure Service Bus, and it's gonna call Cognitive Service and do all the process. So this solution accelerator, I didn't create it. This is coming from the product group team. So I'm just gonna click on this link so you guys can see it. It's very complete. I really recommend you guys to test it. So basically say getting started with batch ingestion client. So yeah, you just have to follow these steps. So you have to go to the portal, create the resource. This is how you do it. And then follow step by step. So you can have that solution. And it even gives you an idea of cost. So for example, how much you cost you to run this accelerator, and give you some idea about cost for your solution. So I will, let me go back to my slides. 1 second. Yeah, so this is the link. So I'm gonna leave also some useful resource for the speech to text, if you wanted to learn more. And yeah, and I will leave my details. You can contact me by LinkedIn, Twitter, or reach out to me at Microsoft. I will leave the time now for questions, and thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate that.
Thank you. So we've had a few questions. I've answered quite a few of them, but we do still have one. I thought I'd leave for you to answer. So it's from Adrian, and it says, you mentioned that there is a lot of customers prototyping but not bringing into production the services they build. What's the extent of engagement with Cortana that Microsoft has seen, and are there any insights or what impedes such engagement?
Yeah, so first, Robin, thank you very much for answering the questions. And yeah, great question, Adrian, right? I mean, so That's a very good question, because most of the time people will do experimentation, they will have the use case, but when it's time to bring to production, maybe you need to involve different parts of the business and maybe a different team. So maybe this is when maybe going to production looks like a challenge. So what I think it works is if you have a data science team that also have the expertise and the powers to push things to production as well, this might help. So instead of only owning the experimentation, even if you're not the person deploying, you should be very involved to the team, or at least know the people that could deploy. So I'm not sure, Robin, if you wanted to add on that as well. We work with a lot of partners and customers, but in terms of pushing to production, I would say it's a mix of maybe not knowing the technology and also not having the process in place, and sometimes not even being able to technically do it. So the technology is that if you have a use case that you see impact and you see potential to use, you definitely should go and put to production, even if it's for a small piece of your organization. Let's say you don't have to roll out this to every maybe organization. Let's imagine you're talking about an organization that has 100 customers or 100 office. You could maybe roll out to a specific country and test that first. If you get good feedback, then you roll out to other areas and other offices.
Yes, and certainly in the partner space, we get a very high success rate in terms of using the cognitive services. And yeah, as said, probably the biggest challenge is actually just understanding the art of the possible and what you can do with these services, as opposed to what you can't do with these services. There was just another question that I partially answered as well, just on sign language. So I know we've got some partners in the space that are doing sign language. I don't think we've got anything Microsoft that we've been developing ourselves in this space. I don't know if you have come across anything.
No, unfortunately, I don't know much, but I can reach out to the product group team.
Yeah, so for sign language, yes, that would then be as partners, and I've put some links to case studies that we have. Okay, so it doesn't look like there are any more questions. So thank you, and thank you for everyone that attended. And we'll close this session off now, which will be on demand. And Emma, I don't know, Emma, if you want to add any final comments.
Yeah, I think you've just about covered everything. So thank you everyone for attending. Hope to see you back again next week, same time, and next week is the fundamentals of text mining, and so hopefully everyone can make that. Yeah, thank you, Caio. It's been such a pleasure to have you deliver this session with us, and really hope to have you back again soon too.
Thank you everyone. Thank you for attending. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks everyone.